All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So we are continuing our FAANG and blue chip technical analysis videos. This is Goog and Boeing. So real quick, what are we going to do today? Same thing we do every day, right? We're going to look at the daily and the weekly to see how things are turning up short term. Setting up, not turning up, sorry. We have our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we're done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Real quick, Goog actually made the exact same move as Meta. It did what most of the FANG stocks did. There was a real nice gap up on Thursday. There was definitely a gap down on Friday, right? So that at least is playing out with most. Apple, if you watched my last video, was the only outlier that continued. So that's a good thing for Apple at least. Look, real quick, I have no idea what earnings looks like. I don't even know if this one released earnings yet. I know that the other ones have, but I'm assuming that this gap up was earnings, okay? For all I know, maybe this was just a copycat from the other ones. Again, I'm not here to pretend I stay up to date with news, earnings, stuff like that, right? I'm here only for the lines. If you know, throw it in the comments. That would actually help me a good amount, in all honesty. But what do I see and what do I care about, right? Again, I like that they all kind of did the same thing, even though it wasn't a great thing on the last day. But what I really don't like about this is we break the 200, our last moving average, and then clearly fail it the next day, right? So just 2 bad things happened. One, there was no confirmation, right? Then from there, it actually got worse than bad confirmation. Actually just gave up the line real quick. It gapped well under, tried to recover, but yeah, clearly closed under that 200, right? And I'm going to zoom out because this is just like the other FANGs, right? It's been a really long time since we were over that 200, basically right when we lost it, right? So the fact that we couldn't get over it is a little disappointing, especially because a couple of the other FANGs did, all right? So I am disappointed to see that for sure, right? This MACD has obviously been really nice, and it has these moments of like up, flat, up. So I don't know if this is just another flat before up. The RSI is pretty, honestly, it's useless right now, in all honesty. It had a good uptrend. It's definitely flattening out a little bit right here, right? But yeah, it's not at least going down to be too worried, and clearly there's no separation between that green and red line to really make much of a reading, right? So all I'm really looking at is this 200 moving average on Monday. What's going to happen with the line? Are we going to get over 105.37? You see the purple number right there, average 200. If we can close, I don't care if we open here, right? If we can close over the purple line, I'm good with that, right? Because then, hey, maybe all we're going to do is kind of oscillate on it before we either go up or down, right? The last thing I want to do is make my way down, right? So I don't want to do that, right? So, hey, maybe we'll bounce on this 8 line right here. Obviously it's not ideal, but hey, if we can bounce on the 8, that could be the next place we recover on the 200. Otherwise, hey, I'm glad that the 20 is working its way up, right? Because if we lose the 8, hopefully we bounce on the 20 and go back up too, right? But really all eyes should be on that 200 on Monday, especially closing over it. And then clearly if that happens, Tuesday will matter a lot because we don't care about a single day over the lines, right? We care about that second day, the follow through happening, right? So, but yeah, overall, again, they all did that same 3-day pattern. Volume actually kind of maintained. Obviously it was more selling than buying. That's why that one's red, not green, right? So most of them dropped a little bit on volume. But yeah, I wish it closed on or over, even by a little bit. That would have been nice, right? Hey, this is a really nice weekly chart, actually. So look, I say this often, and I think these 3 speak to it well. Obviously, this is a weekly, right? But these 3 could be on the daily, and it would really do the same thing. So, 1, 2, 3 moving averages were broken on a single candle, okay? I always say if you're going to break multiples, I need really good confirmation, okay? This right here is not what I would call good confirmation. Yeah, it definitely closed over. I'm good with that, right? But yeah, if you're going to break 3 lines, I'm expecting this thing as the next candle, right? A good full body, right? Something that says, yeah, that yesterday was for real. This doesn't count. And I always say the next one should be pretty indicative of what the truth was, right? And clearly that was the truth. So I say this often about confirmation. When I don't get good confirmation, the next one matters, right? So that's what I see here. What I do also see is, look, this 50 line right there, right? I'm zooming out, pretty much the same place where the 200 line on the daily was, right? I've said it on a couple other videos. The 50 and the 200 are they almost should be interchangeable on the daily and the weekly, right? They should not interchangeable, but they should line up. And that is clearly what's happening here. So I know MACD looks great. I know weekly looks great. And again, I think it goes back to what I said. If we can actually break the 200 on the daily, this thing we've literally seen every other FAANG stock break the 200 and get a good fly after it, right? This one hasn't seen it yet. If it does, it'll fill that 50 right there for the first time, right? So, and there's still a good amount of room between where we're at and the 50, right? So even a good run, it might get us over it, it might not, but it'll at least get us closer. So this weekly is definitely bullish for sure. This daily has me a little worried, but nothing to where I'm thinking we're going to lose the 50 by any means, right? Really what I'm looking at is, are we going to bounce on the 8? Are we going to maybe bounce on the 20? Or hey, can we just overtake this 200 and let's just even stay here until the moment is right, right? So again, not extremely bullish, but by no means bearish, right? This is actually a beautiful stock. Okay, bah. Oh man, Boeing. If you've been watching my last few videos, Boeing's been crushing it, all right? Literally just crushing it. I'm zooming out a lot because I think it was this right here. There basically was this red, roughly speaking, green, red, and that's where we kind of started tracking this thing, right? So this thing has been on a tear for a good long time, all right? The one thing I'm going to say one more time is look at the 8 moving average this entire way, right? That's why I'm zooming out this much. Once we broke it, all we really did was ride it, okay? And the moments that we lost the 8 is where the 20 came into play. Lost the 8, the 20, the 20, the 20, right? We never lost the 20 or the 8. And for the most part, all we did was ride the 8, right? So that's why, I'm telling you, these two lines are like brother and sister. They're like twins, man. They literally hate life together or they love life together. You know what I mean? So again, just a little more theory than Boeing related. But where are we? We have now lost and confirmed that we've lost both lines. That's not a good thing. However, there has been such a good run here that there is absolutely no reason to be sad, right? I sincerely hope profits were banked. There were moments where you could have averaged up to make more money. There were moments where you could have sold roughly half of your stuff. You could have literally made almost 100%, sold 50%, and let that free money ride and still make money, right? Again, I'm not here to tell you how to make your moves or what to do with your money, but I'm always here kind of preaching, look for the safer places to put your money. Don't be afraid to average up if things are looking good, because hey, why only buy it once and watch it keep going up, right? Buy it as it's going up if it keeps going up, right? And right here, this is literally the first time since we've broken it in October that we had this confirmation that both lines were lost. Right here, give me a second. Let me see this day. So this day right here was under the 8 by 4 cents, but it at least got back over the 20, right? This day right here, this back-to-back is literally the first 1-2 under both lines, right? So that's not good. You can see MACD has not been looking good for a minute, right? But this is definitely the moment where it matters the most. Again, RSI has been super flat up here. It's definitely now starting to teeter down, and this green line's getting a little more oscillating, right? So I'm really expecting it to kind of come back down to this 195. But again, how can you feel bad if you've been trading this thing like the beast it's been, right? So This thing is going to need a good little healthy cool, because again, this thing was literally living in the 70s and 80s in the RS. It was literally like for days up here, right? Like that's nasty. So I'm telling you, this thing has been a beast. There's no reason to get sad if it comes down to the 50. Don't lose the 50 though, right? There's absolutely no reason it should go any lower than 195. If it goes lower than 195, I'm a little worried we're going to come into this, right? Because if we lose that horizontal, oh, sorry, it could maybe come here. I thought that was the same thing. It might come as low as 189. If we lose this 195, we'll come to that. If we lose that, we'll probably come to that before we even come all the way down to the 100. I think coming down all the way to the 100 isn't too likely unless NASDAQ takes a real hard dive down, okay? So Boeing, though, one more time, killer daily chart. You can imagine this is going to be a beautiful weekly chart, right? Because again, if your weekly is great, your dailies are going to be amazing, okay? And look, the weekly came to the most important test, the 200, the last of our moving averages, right? So again, that beautiful rise, it started to feel the heat of the last line. Actually, look at this 214 line kind of doing its job, right? But yeah, it's definitely starting to curve a little bit. I gotta believe it's going to be coming down. What's that 100 at? 194. Again, 194 lines up almost exactly with this 195 call that I gave, right? So I think that's a pretty good place to end this video. Hey, if you disagree with anything I'm saying, please let me know. Throw it in the comments. I'm not here to pretend I'm perfect or all-knowing, right? Otherwise, hey, I appreciate your time, and yeah, more videos are coming.